do you constantly feel like you need to be on high alert, always scanning your environment for potential threats? Hypervigilance is more than just being cautious. It's a state of heightened awareness and tension that can take a toll on your mental and physical well-being. For people who experience hypervigilance, the world often feels like a dangerous place, even in familiar or safe settings. Hypervigilance often develops as a result of trauma, such as childhood sexual abuse, violence, or other forms of sustained stress. It's your brain's way of trying to protect you, but instead of offering safety, it leaves you feeling drained, anxious, and on edge. Let's explore what hypervigilance is, how it affects day-to-day life, and some practical strategies for managing it. Along the way, we'll provide real-life scenarios to illustrate how hypervigilance shows up in everyday situations. What is hypervigilance? Hypervigilance is a state of excessive alertness, where a person constantly monitors their surroundings for potential danger. While being aware of your environment is a normal survival mechanism, hypervigilance takes this to the extreme. For those living with it, the world can feel unpredictable and unsafe, even in situations where others feel perfectly at ease. Hypervigilance can manifest both mentally and physically. It's not just about being overly cautious. It's about feeling physically tense, mentally exhausted, and emotionally overwhelmed. Your brain stays stuck in fight or flight mode, leading to a constant sense of unease and a hyper-awareness of everything going on around you. Common signs of hypervigilance. Let's take a look at some of the common signs of hypervigilance, with scenarios that highlight how these symptoms can appear in real life. 1. Frequently scanning your surroundings for signs of danger, even in familiar places. One of the key features of hypervigilance is the constant need to scan your environment for potential threats. This behavior happens even in places that should feel safe, such as your home or workplace. 1. The dinner that never feels relaxed. Imagine you're out to dinner with friends at your favorite restaurant, a place you've been to dozens of times. While everyone else is chatting and enjoying their meal, you're barely paying attention to the conversation. Instead, you're scanning the room for any sign of danger. You watch the door, keep an eye on the people around you, and stay hyper-aware of every sound or movement. Even though you're in a familiar place with people you trust, you can't let your guard down. This constant scanning leaves you feeling disconnected from the moment, unable to fully engage or relax. It's exhausting, but it feels necessary, as though lowering your guard would put you in danger. 2. Jumping at loud noises or sudden movements. More than others. Do. People with hypervigilance often have an exaggerated startle response. A loud noise, sudden movement, or even someone approaching unexpectedly can trigger a strong physical reaction, like jumping, flinching, or an immediate spike in heart rate. 2. The startle at the office. You're sitting at your desk, focused on your work, when a coworker drops something nearby with a loud bang. While others might give a quick glance or barely react, your body jerks and your heart starts racing. You might even feel shaky or anxious for minutes afterward, long after the noise has passed. The sound instantly puts you on edge, as though your brain is telling you to prepare for a threat. This heightened startle response can be frustrating and embarrassing, especially when those around you seem unaffected by the same noises or movements. 3. Always needing to sit with your back to the wall in public spaces. People with hypervigilance often feel the need to position themselves in ways that give them control over their environment. This can include sitting with their back to the wall so they can see the entire room and watch for any potential threats. 3. Choosing the safe seat. You're meeting a friend for coffee at a busy cafe. When you arrive, you immediately scan the seating options and choose a table with your back to the wall. You need to be able to see the entrance, the exits, and everyone else in the room. It's not just a preference. It feels like a necessity. If there are no seats that give you a clear view, you feel uneasy, distracted, and anxious for the rest of the visit. For those with hypervigilance, sitting in an exposed position can lead to a strong sense of vulnerability, making it hard to focus on anything else. 4. Feeling tense or on guard. When someone enters the room unexpectedly. Unexpected entrances or movements, even in safe spaces, can trigger a sense of alertness or tension. This response is automatic, and it can happen even when there's no actual threat. The surprise visitor at home. You're relaxing at home, finally allowing yourself to unwind after a long day. Suddenly, your partner walks into the room without warning. Even though it's someone you know and love, your body tenses up, your heart starts racing, and you feel a surge of alertness. It takes a moment for your brain to catch up and remind you that everything is fine, but for those few seconds, you're on edge, as if something bad is about to happen. This reaction is common in hypervigilance, where the body is primed to respond to sudden changes in the environment, even when those changes are completely benign. Being overly alert to people's facial expressions, tone of voice, or body language for signs of threat. Hypervigilance often extends to the way people interpret social cues. If you're hypervigilant, you might be excessively tuned in to the facial expressions, tone of voice, or body language of those around you, constantly looking for signs of anger, disapproval, or threat. 5. The over-analysis at work. You're in a meeting, and your boss makes a quick comment to a colleague in a neutral tone. Most people wouldn't think twice about it, but you immediately start over-analyzing the exchange. Was your boss upset? Did you do something wrong? You start scanning for more clues, paying close attention to your boss's facial expressions and tone of voice throughout the rest of the meeting. Even though there's no clear sign of a problem, you can't shake the feeling that something is off. This hyper-awareness of social cues can make interactions feel exhausting. You're constantly trying to read between the lines, interpreting neutral actions as potential threats. Managing hypervigilance, regaining a sense of safety. While hypervigilance can be a deeply ingrained response to trauma, there are ways to manage it and regain a sense of safety in your everyday life. 1. Grounding techniques. Grounding exercises can help bring you back to the present moment, focusing your attention away from the perceived threats in your environment. Techniques like deep breathing, focusing on physical sensations, or using the 5-4-3-2-1 method, identifying things you can see, hear, touch, smell, and taste, can help calm the mind and body. 2. Therapy. Working with a therapist, particularly one trained in trauma, can help you understand the root of your hypervigilance and develop strategies for managing it. Therapies like cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, and eye movement, desensitization, and reprocessing, EMDR, are often helpful in reducing hypervigilance by addressing the trauma that caused it. 3. Mindfulness and meditation. Mindfulness practices help you stay grounded in the present, reducing the tendency to scan for danger. By practicing mindfulness, you can train your brain to notice your surroundings without jumping to conclusions about potential threats. 4. Self-compassion. It's important to be kind to yourself. Hypervigilance often develops as a way to survive trauma, so it's not something to be ashamed of. Practice self-compassion by recognizing that your brain's trying to protect you, and that healing takes time. You can find calm. Again, living with hypervigilance can be exhausting, but it's important to remember that you don't have to stay stuck in this heightened state forever. With the right strategies and support, you can begin to lower your guard and feel safer in the world around you. Whether through grounding techniques, therapy, or mindfulness, there are ways to manage hypervigilance and reclaim a sense of peace and calm in your life. You've got this, and I'm rooting for you every step of the way.